Welcome to another team selection video ahead of game week 6 this time, and I've already made some early transfers for the second week running despite having arguably my best game week of the season, and I've taken a -4 hit. So I'm going to be going into those transfers and explaining my thought process. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoy it or find it useful. And let's get this video to over 200 likes. We're very close to 13,000 subscribers, by the way, so let's keep on pushing. And without further ado, let's get straight into this one. My goalkeeper transfer didn't pay off this week. I got rid of Ramsdale for Sanchez, but I didn't really lose out on too much. I thought Arsenal would keep the clean sheet. The goal that they conceded was certainly debatable with the foul on Aaron Ramsdale, and he's also an injured out heading into the next few weeks. So I still like this decision to make the goalkeeper transfer because it gives me a bit more in terms of funds, and it has also helped me this week in terms of what I've actually ended up doing with the -4 hit. And not only that, it also opens up the possibility of going for an Arsenal defender such as Saliba, who I think offers better value, especially when Ramsdale isn't really getting those saves or bonus points, because Arsenal aren't conceding that many shots and they are dominating matches. They're playing very good football, and that really limits Ramsdale's ceiling. I still think Sanchez is a good long-term option despite his blank, and probably the best goalkeeper in the game. Due to Reece James's illness, I had a back 4 in the end compared to the typical back 5. Cucurella with a 1-pointer. He was very lucky not to get booked, to be fair, and I'm very surprised by how poor Chelsea were. They took the lead against Southampton and ended up crumbling, to be fair. Cancelo with a 12-pointer. I said this the week before with Robertson and Trent, and then this week heading into the Forest game for Cancelo. It's just not a good time to sell him. He still has those attacking returns, and his XG last season was very good. I know the underlying numbers this season haven't been great, but to get rid of him ahead of Nottingham Forest, I just could never really see it. Of course, the game is far beyond fixtures. There's also form to consider, underlying numbers, and most importantly of all, our own eyes, what we can see with the eye test. And to be honest, with Cancelo, he hasn't really passed it this season so much, but he's still got 11 points in Game Week 2 against Bournemouth, and he's done it yet again with a 12-pointer, and that's his 10th double-digit FPL return. So he definitely has it in him to be a great fantasy asset, and I still think he's worth the extra millions over the other Man City defenders. Now, Trent and Robertson have been disappointing once again. Other than the Bournemouth game, they have just constantly let me down, and having a double up in that Liverpool defence is one of the reasons why I've struggled this season so far. And Robertson, despite how good he is, has had a poor start to the season, and you could even see Tsimikas maybe getting some games in the future. And honestly, despite how good he is, and he could be a worthwhile hold in the next 2 game weeks against Everton and Wolves, I think it's a very good way of downgrading him to another defender to release the funds and maybe get a third forward or an even better midfielder. So Robertson is the one that's on the watch list to be removed from my team. I'm very happy with my midfield once again. 2 double-digit returns from Salah and Martinelli. Andreas Pereira coming in for Reece James for a 6-pointer, assisting Lewis Dunk's own goal. Gross was disappointing with the 2-pointer coming in, and I was expecting big things from him, even secretly hoping he would take the penalty that McAllister ended up burying. But I have to say, very impressive performance from my midfield. The best part about my team, despite the forwards also doing a very good job. And Salah was a serious consideration for the captaincy, but it's very difficult to captain the Egyptian right now, not just because he blanked in a 9-0 victory against Bournemouth, which I promise will be the last time I'm going to mention that, but because of a certain other somebody who just keeps on delivering every time they step onto the pitch. I think you all know who his name is. Not Harry Kane, who has been very good this season as well, but Erling Haaland with a 17-pointer. Gabriel Jesus also getting a goal against Aston Villa, no bonus points, and Salah ended up being the better captaincy option, which is what I was expecting. And I don't think Jesus was necessarily a bad captaincy option, but I just didn't really see a big return for him. But still happy to have him in my team nonetheless. My rank actually dropped following his goal because of his effective ownership and just his overall ownership. 80%. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, these numbers. It's going to be very hard for his numbers to be matched in terms of ownership. Maybe Haaland if he keeps on going the way he is. But that was my team for Game Week 5. I'm going to show you my Game Week points and also the overall rank and all of that good stuff before heading into the Game Week 6 team selection. Nailing the captaincy for the first time since Game Week 1 gave me my biggest green arrow of the season. I went from around 1.8 million into the top 1 million, 867k. I'm quite happy with that considering where I've been in the last few weeks. 86 points overall. I got 69 the previous week and I managed to improve on that yet again, and I've got 332 points overall. Be sure to check the links in the description below for the league that you can join, the FPL League, as well as the Discord server and many other things such as my Twitter, Instagram and all those socials. So be sure to check that out. And now let's just get straight into the Game Week 6 team selection. My two goalkeepers are facing each other this week, just like in Game Week 2 when Ramsdale faced Ward. This time it's Sanchez versus Ward, and I back Brighton to probably get the result and get the clean sheet. But it all depends on Maddison's fitness, because he could also cause some problems for the Seagulls. But Sanchez at home to Leicester, I'm quite happy for that. And the fixtures after that are even better from a defensive point of view, at least in the short term. I think over the next 5 game weeks, Brighton are right up there in terms of the fixture ticker. After that, it gets a bit trickier, but you can always wildcard them out of your team. And I think Game Week 9, Game Week 8, some people are kind of highlighting as very good weeks to wildcard. It all depends on your team and how you're set up, maybe with triple Arsenal, maybe 2 or 3 Brighton players, and maybe those weeks would be very good to highlight and target in terms of the wildcard. But you could also postpone it for a little bit more, maybe Game Week 12. There's no clear-cut answer. I'm quite happy to keep Sanchez for the time being, though, and even on a wildcard, despite maybe some tough fixtures on the horizon for Brighton, I would still be quite happy to keep Robert Sanchez. One of my transfers has been made in the defender position. Robertson has made way for Kieran Trippier, who faces Crystal Palace at home, and in this fixture last season, Newcastle won 1-0. I'd be very happy with that result. Newcastle were very unlucky not to get a result at Liverpool. It went to the 98th minute. They were time wasting, to be fair, Newcastle, and they defended with everything they had, and it was just very cruel for them to lose the game in the last few moments of the game. But I do like their defence, despite some poor underlying numbers. They're amongst the kind of worst teams in terms of expected goals conceded and other underlying numbers for defensive stats, which is quite surprising, but they have faced City and Liverpool in the opening 5 game weeks. They also kept clean sheets in the first 2 games, and I just generally like how Newcastle are set up defensively. They made a lot of changes in the Liverpool game. No Botman, no Fabian Schär. They didn't have Bruno Guimaraes because of injury. Callum Wilson's still out, but they still managed to find a way to compete in these games, and I could see them giving anyone a good game. Crystal Palace isn't an easy match by any stretch of the imagination, and Zaha is in scintillating form, but Trippier at home to Palace, I think it's a good fixture. And if you are looking for some defenders maybe, or just players in general, from a team that has maybe a good set of 3 or 4 games coming up, Newcastle is one of the very best. If you look at the fixture ticker, they've got some great fixtures. Even though they have West Ham in Game Week 7, I still like them, and I think they can do a good job in these games, even get some clean sheets, and I'm very happy with Trippier. I don't think his attacking threat is amazing, but what he does have is the set-piece threat, especially from direct free kicks, and I think he's a good transfer overall, and he'll be very popular as the week goes by. Reece James is flagged, but he should be fine to face West Ham. He's already training, so that's great news for Chelsea fans. I do also have Cucurella, but he's going to be on the bench, as I'll talk about later in this video, and I just don't like the idea of doubling up on Chelsea defence. And what I do have is a bit of squad depth, just in case someone misses out entirely because of rotation. We've got Europe in midweek, so some teams could rotate completely. I know Haaland came off in around the 66th minute mark, but he could also start against Villa, and if he does, he's probably going to get another huge return. The Villains are absolutely struggling. They should have probably conceded at least 3 or 4 goals to Arsenal, but looking at this defence, I'm very happy with it. Cancelo away to Villa as well. He might not even start, but if he does, I can see another return from him, whether it's an attacking return or most likely a clean sheet. And Trent away to Everton. I mean, getting rid of Robertson might backfire a little bit in the short term, but I'm very happy with it when I'm looking at the next 3 or 4 games and possibly beyond, depending on when I wildcard. But having Trent away to Everton, I'm very happy with, and I would still like to have 2 Liverpool players, just maybe not the triple up, because they have been letting me down in this opening portion of the season. Despite transitioning from 5 to 4 at the back, I still have 3 midfielders, Gross, Salah and Martinelli. I think United will turn up against Arsenal despite the Gunners' high-flying form, being top of the league with 5 out of 5 victories. But United always turn up at Old Trafford in these games, and I don't really expect too much from Martinelli, but he's a very good purchase in the long term and just a hold in general. Even when Arsenal's fixtures turn for the worse, I'd still be very happy to go for someone like Martinelli, but of course, we'll see what happens when we get there. Salah away to Everton could do very well, and he's a serious consideration for the captaincy, and he's going to be much more likely to start than Erling Haaland, so that will always be the big debate. And if it wasn't for that, I think Haaland would be my permanent captain every single week, the way he's going. But Salah can't be discounted. He got 2 assists against Newcastle and still only got 7 points fewer than Haaland, who got a hat-trick, which goes to show how overpowered these midfielders can be and why Salah has been a great captaincy option for so many years. Gross at home to Leicester, I think is a very good fixture for him. Leicester are bottom of the league at the time of this recording. They do play United later on today, and they are also amongst the very worst defences, not just this season, but also in the last few Premier League campaigns, even when they were in the top 8, for example, or in the top half. So this is my midfield. I'm quite happy with it, despite the fact that I'm still relatively short in this area, and they keep on delivering for me, to be fair. Salah, Martinelli are quite consistent. They're not the best options right now, especially Salah with his price and everything else that goes with it, but they're doing a good job. And Andreas Pereira, whenever he comes in for me, just gets the points. I've got 14 points from Andreas Pereira in the 2 games that I've started him, so can't complain with that. But I still think I can improve my midfield position. Yet my second transfer and the hit that I've taken involves the forwards. I've added a third forward, and I think you can tell who it's going to be. I'll be the first to admit, I don't really expect Mitrovic to return against Tottenham, but I really like the Game Week 7 fixture against Chelsea. I think that's one to target right now. The West London derby, Mitrovic's form, I think he's going to get chances. And to be fair, the form he's in, I think Mitrovic can score against absolutely anybody. He scored against Liverpool in Game Week 1, and he only blanked against Wolves when he missed a penalty. Otherwise, he would have returned in every single game. His consistency is incredible. We're going to be talking about him in the transfer tips video. His expected goals is 4.98 in 5 matches, and he's got a ridiculous amount of big chances already. He's always in the right areas. He's causing problems. Even against Arsenal, where he was quite quiet, he still managed to get the goal by continuing to press and forcing Gabriel into a mistake. And I just think he's one of the best forwards in the game right now. I kept highlighting Tony as my favourite option at that price and below. Well, now it has to be Mitrovic. Despite some pretty tough games coming up, especially the next 2, I still think he could do an incredible job, especially against Chelsea. Erling Haaland away to Villa. If he starts, I think he gets a huge haul, and that's pretty much going to be the case in every single game he starts, with the exception of perhaps Liverpool or a fixture like that. And Gabriel Jesus away to United, I believe he's never scored against the Red Devils before, and I'm not expecting a return there. Maybe an assist, but I don't expect Arsenal to be free-flowing and scoring 3 or 4 goals past United. Anything can happen in that game. Arsenal could win, and they are the better team right now, but it could be a draw, it could be a loss, and Arsenal could struggle to score goals. Let's wait and see. It should be a fascinating game, the one that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the most, and it's one of the best, if not the best, Premier League rivalry, especially in the prime days in 2004. But Erling Haaland away to Villa, this is the big conundrum we all have. Do we captain him and risk it yet again, or go for Salah? Well, I'm going to continue kind of my belief from the last week or so that Haaland would start against Forest but be benched against Villa. But he did come off in the 66th minute against Forest after scoring the hat-trick and the game was already done, which is also what we were predicting to happen. So it's going to be really tough to see what happens here. Haaland is capable of starting yet again, and he could also come off quite early. But in the 50-60 minutes that he does start, if he indeed does, he could wreak absolute havoc. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you like the 2 transfers I made, Trippier and Mitrovic in for a -4 for Archer and Robertson? And the big question is, do you think Haaland is going to start? Let me know down in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe so you can see all the community posts. I'm going to be putting out a poll for that, because it'll be very interesting to see what the community says about that. But that is my team. I'm now going to show you my captaincy thoughts, although I'm still very conflicted about that one, even more than I was in Game Week 5, and I'll show you how my bench is looking. This might be quite surprising, but I am going for Haaland as the captain right now. If I have any doubts about him starting over the next few days, then I'll probably switch to Salah and probably keep it at that, to be fair. I'm not really considering anyone else for the captaincy. Despite how good Mitrovic has been, I wouldn't captain him away to Tottenham, and I wouldn't captain any of the Arsenal players for the reasons I disclosed earlier in this video. Cancelo away to Villa would actually be a decent differential from those I have available, and even Trent Alexander-Arnold. But other than that, I'm not considering anyone else for the captaincy. Cucurella's first on my bench, Andreas second, and Bailey third. That's quite decent squad depth, but arguably a bit too much. And either way, I would ideally downgrade Bailey completely to a 4.5 million midfielder like Reed, who will always sit on my bench, or I could upgrade that position. But because I've gone for this structure onto our wildcard, I pretty much will probably stay with this unless things drastically change. Maybe Mitrovic gets injured or something ridiculous like that. But I'm quite happy with this structure right now. And the other change I'm looking to make in the weeks to come is Cucurella. He's not someone I want to have in the long term. I think double Chelsea defence is far too much considering how much they're struggling, and I would rather go to another defence, an even better one, and Saliba in for Cucurella could be the move I'm making in Game Week 7 when Arsenal face Everton at home. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below about my team selection, and also be sure to let me know your thoughts in terms of your own team and also the transfer plans you're looking to make. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. We're very close to 13,000 subscribers, so let's keep on pushing, and thank you very much for all your support. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also check all the links in the description below, including the Discord server, the FPL League, and also the Patreon and channel memberships. All of that is there, and check out the UCL Fantasy content which we've been uploading. There's going to be more to come, including the team selection and the deadline stream next Tuesday. We're also going to be doing the FPL deadline stream on Saturday, so there's much more content headed your way. So I wish you all the best of luck for Game Week 6 and the rest of the season, and I'll see you next time.